biggest thing, obviously, when you look at the stat sheet, was we defended, I thought, pretty well in the entire game. I just told our guys it was the best we've carried over a defensive play into game, and Terry Johnson did a nice job on the scout. But then obviously the difference in the game was when I thought once we got the ball moving a little bit, we didn't move it very well in the first half, but once we got it moving, we got a few shots, and then when Kellen and Rodney get going, we should win when those two get going. Those should be the nights we win.
How big of a point of emphasis was stopping Kedron Johnson tonight?
Huge. Yeah, I mean, 17.8 points a game. Scored it on everybody he's played against. Scored it in wins, scored it in losses. You look for trends on teams, and it really wasn't a trend. He scored it, and so we just had. I guess there was a trend. He scored it. We just had to try to make it as tough as possible. We tried to be active and aggressive, doubling him off some middle ball screens. He's a good player.
Did you guys know he was playing hurt tonight?
I didn't know that. I have a lot of respect for him. He's going to score a lot of points this year. What was wrong with him?
Shoulder.
Was it? I hope he's okay.
Coach, what were you able to do defensively with strategy? You were talking about Terry's scout. What was going in, and what were you able to do successfully?
Well, I think you just pay a lot of attention to Johnson off home balls. You try to do your best to get to the other guys that make shots. I read the article in the Tennessee paper about Odom this week, and I think that when he plays well, they're really hard to beat. So when Brighton Odom hit those first 2 threes, I thought it was going to be a tough go about. But they both hit threes on correctable rotations, and so we were able to now get back to the huddle and say, okay, let's try to be better on this than the rest of the game. And I thought we were better for the most part. We were more active in the gaps later on in the game. Barlow got his hand on some balls. Cameron Woods has played 2 really good games in a row now. So, I think we can improve. But I think, we played pretty well tonight.
Is there a little rust in the first half coming out of the holiday break? Or
no, I just didn't think we were patient in getting good looks. I think we talk all the time about great shots, and we define it very clearly what is a great shot and what isn't. I don't want to ever be a guy that has him second guessing a shot by any means, but we just weren't getting as good a looks as we got once we were patient with it.
Hey, Brad, you mentioned the movement. Was that kind of your message at half? Because it looks like you came out and you scored in a lot of different ways.
Our message was to get the great shots. How do we do that? Movement, number 1, and movement 2, post touches was 2. I thought getting it to Andrew was important. Getting it to Rose in the paint was important. Kyle Marshall had, a couple of finishes there that were important, 9 and 11. So, I thought our guys did a pretty good job. And then it opened up things for the guys shooting. Sometimes that works the other way. Sometimes you make a bunch of shots and it opens up an interior. Sometimes you have to establish the interior to open up for your shooters. And I think more often than not, the rest of the year, that's the way it's going to have to be for us because of the reputation of Rodney specifically, and certainly Kellen as well.
Rodney starts out from 6 from the floor. Does anything surprise you from him? You always preach keep shooting it, and it worked tonight.
What's crazy is I'll probably sit there in April and May and say, golly, I'm just learning about it. I'm learning about him like you are. When he starts 0 for 6, I haven't seen that happen yet. How's he going to respond? It's my first time. So 12 games or 13 games in, you're still learning about a guy that's a 5th-year senior. It's kind of unique. Your other 5th-year senior is inside and out.
Did he mention to you at any point that he got 36 his last time in this gym?
I knew it because we saw it when we were recruiting him on the transfer. But I will say this: no, he doesn't. He doesn't. He's not a bragging kid. He's a pretty humble guy, and I don't hear him talk about his exploits, which are pretty impressive, really.
Brad, you talked about it, and obviously his experience here earlier. Do you think that helped him at all, just because this gym is obviously very different from just about everywhere you play?
Yeah, I don't know, because he was 0 for 6. So, I was thinking, there's 2 ways to look at it. 1, does it help you? 2, the law of averages is going to kick in at some point. And I thought maybe they were in the first half, but then he settled himself down. And again, I thought we got him better shots in the second half. That's the biggest thing. Where can we get him better shots? Because he's gonna manufacture some of his own because he's a really good player.
You ever coach from the end zone?
Never. This week in practice we tried it, and I did. When we did shoot around today, we did our offensive review. I did it. When we did practice yesterday, I did it. I planned on using hand signals in the first half, and the second half was easy because they're all looking at you. running your way. As far as that goes, but it's unique, it's different. It's different.
Talk about your team on the road since that loss at Xavier. I mean, you've been very successful away
Just
from
two.
Hinkle.
Yeah, just two games,
Yeah.
Northwestern and here is true road games, but certainly away from Hinkle been pretty good. You gotta be good in both. You know, we don't talk about road or home, we talk about trying to play well. And I've always been that way. I've never been a guy that's done anything with trying to set up a road environment or anything like that, with the exception of we ran our practices from the baseline this week so we could get used to communicating.
Anything else for Coach?